Playing white from West Germany, Hans-Joachim Hecht, and playing black from Hungary, Adorjan. And these two both in with a very good chance in this group after last week's extraordinary game when Larry Christensen was beaten by Nigel Short. The group suddenly wide open, as we can see. Both these players have 1 point. Hecht from his win over Short, Adorjan 2 draws. And it is one of these interesting positions. We've had these mathematical conundrums before, but this is an interesting one where if there's a draw today, then there's going to be a four-way playoff. Now, Adorjan, very quiet, polite, courteous Hungarian, known for some extremely sharp play indeed, and Hecht, who's not too well known on the Grandmaster circuit, but also capable of some very sharp games. So this could be an exciting, brief tussle. It could, on the other hand, be a very long draw, in which case we're back to a four-way tie. Anyway, let's join the game at its beginning. And it's going to be Adorjan black to start the clock for Hecht to start the game. Bill Hartston, describe this opening for us.
Well, Hecht opened with e4, his favourite and the most common opening move, and Adorjan replied with the Sicilian defence. Pawn on c5, stopping white, taking the big centre of pawns. Pawns on e4 and d4. Now, Hecht has the problem of being only an amateur grandmaster, and it's difficult to play the sharpest opening lines when you don't play chess all the time. Adorjan plays in tournaments throughout the year, Hecht only 1 or 2 tournaments, and Hecht's chosen this unusual line with bishop b5 rather than the very sharp, much analysed variations with d4, which Adorjan must know so well. It's very wise playing the less analysed things when he doesn't play all the time. I know this is a favourite move of Hecht's. Adorjan preparing to bring his bishop to the long black diagonal. It's a favourite place for the bishop in the Sicilian, especially when this pawn is still on the board, because it blocks the other diagonal for the bishop. White's development plan here is really just simply to get the pieces out as quickly as possible. He's already castled, centralised the rook.
It looks like a position out of some of those rather old-fashioned textbooks where they say pawn to king 4, knight to king, bishop 3, bishop to knight 5, etc., etc., etc.
Or even older than that. They played chess like this in the Middle Ages almost.
Roy Lopez and all.
Yes, when pawns were only allowed to move 1 square. Now, move into his opponent's half of the board. This knight on f6 was challenging that pawn to advance. And now part of black's plan must be to undermine this pawn and get rid of white's only central outpost. It's very difficult teaching beginners to play chess now when they see grandmasters breaking all the rules. This black knight on d5 has already made 2 moves and is now makes its 3rd, attacking the bishop. But in making those moves it's accomplished the advance of the white pawn and perhaps made it easier for black to decide the problems of where to put his own pawns and forced the exchange of the bishop. So now black has a pair of bishops, neither of which look very effective yet, but they can come into their own later in the game. Taking back with the d-pawn to free one of the bishops on the diagonal. And incidentally, the advance of the white e-pawn has weakened white's white squares, so now this bishop can have a great future on e6, f5 or g4. And white's trying to take advantage of the space he's gained from the opening, bringing his knight to the middle of the board, attacking the c-pawn.
And now it's Adorjan black to move.
This is the last round and the situation is very sharp. Anything can happen. This is the variation he used to play all the time. Only against me twice. Both of the games were drawn, just like the other ones. So This would be the first time I could beat him or he could beat me. Now, I don't like this position, but let's play knight e6.
I have a quite good memory. About 15 years ago, I played with Kuzmin a very sharp and interesting variation, and I don't know exactly how the game went, but I have some nice memories. And also, a draw is not sufficient for me and maybe not for my opponent, so I try for myself something sharp. I feel that this what I'm going to do is somehow unsound, double-edged at least, but okay, I try this very sharp move. Maybe I can surprise him a little bit. b4.
I wonder if it's a prepared variation or he just found it at the board. Well, the idea of it's very, say, easy to understand. He wants to get a very strong center and also the advantage of development. So I have to consider what shall I do? Shall I take the pawn or say play c4? Why shouldn't I take the pawn? I can always give back the material. So c takes b4.
Yeah, of course he took. He tries to win as well, of course. No, there's only one move which really makes sense. I have to enter the center with d4, so I will do this. d4.
He plays so quickly, it must be a prepared variation. Now let me check again the thing I was just looking at, the move before. I think I castle, then he plays a3, very likely. That's something I have to take, and then c4. So the center looks very shocking, very dangerous, but yes, I found an idea of giving back most of the advantage and disturb his plans, so I castle.
Yeah, now I want to build up a real good center with c4, but his b-pawn disturbs me really, so I have to play a3. I want him to take, and then I play c4, threatening d5 eventually. Yeah, that's the main idea. I will do this. a3.
Well, everything is as expected, so let's take the challenge. B takes a3.
Yes, now he's 2 pawns up. I shouldn't take immediately. Afterwards he will play b5 and he will control the white squares, so I play immediately c4.
Now I can use the idea I found out. I wonder if he would like it. I don't think so. I'm 2 pawns up at the moment, so I can dare myself to give back all of the advantage. I'll look at his face when I play this move. b5.
Oh, this is a real surprise for me.
What's so surprising about that, Bill? I think White was expecting to have these centre pawns unchallenged for a little while, and to see Black reacting so violently immediately, and in fact forcing White to take an immediate decision about what to do with this c4 pawn. I think he wasn't quite ready for that. He was expecting something more passive.
Let's see what he does.
No, I'm not any longer happy with my game. I feel that I played too sharp. I have really no good game now, because I don't know how to defend d5. If I play it immediately, he just takes, and afterwards I don't know how to defend the pawn on d5. Obviously he plays even bishop b7 afterwards. I don't like my game at all. I don't like it. No, I hate the whole opening now. Probably I will never play it again. Now I have to take just my best chances. I want to have some pressure to e7, maybe to his pawn a7, and I'm full of hope to get back one of his c-pawns. But I'm worse, obviously. First I take the pawn on a3. Bishop takes pawn.
Now, what shall I do? Shall I take the second pawn again, or do something like bishop b7? But, well, I take the pawn. Still, I have 2 pawns up, and also some good prospects to arrange some attack against his king, or to put my knight on f4, d3 and so on. So let's take on c4, b takes c.
So what happened? Oh, I'm 2 pawns down. Actually, I sacrificed just 1 pawn. But I'm 2 pawns down now, really 2 pawns. I want to play queen a4, which looks very active. I'm a little bit afraid of knight f4 and then bishop g4. For that reason I could play queen c1, preventing knight f4. If he defends this pawn with bishop a6, I could just take on e7. This looks quite good. Oh, but maybe he plays c5 because I lost the control over d5. I am very unhappy with this position, really unhappy. Oh, maybe he will not play knight f4. Maybe not, I hope, for this. Queen a4 looks more active. I will do this. Queen a4.
Well, I like this very much. Well, I don't want to keep any of these pawns. I just like to give back them, or one of them at least, and to attack him. I like these sort of positions, and that's something I do quite well. I just have to play this as good as I can. So knight f4.
Oh, bad luck. Andras plays the best move. Now if I take the pawn on c6, he's always ready to enter d3, and I have no defense for my pawn on d4. So obviously I have to take the c4 pawn. Well, maybe I have a chance to play bishop c5 and I have some pressure to his a pawn. Yeah, I take c4. Queen takes pawn.
What is the best move? Because I am ready to give back all these pawns. But what is the best move? Is it bishop e6 or say queen d5 with the idea of exchanging queens and trying to make use of my extra pawn? But this all seems to be too modest, so I must do something like yes, against his d4 pawn and also the king side. So I'll play bishop g4. Yes, bishop g4.
Well done. He threatens to take my knight on f3. I can't allow this. I have to defend it. Rook e3. I don't like bishop h6 so much. If I defend it with knight e to t2. Oh, no. I have no more active pieces. Still I'm a pawn down. I will try just to move away the knight, hoping to bring it via b3 to c5 or something like this. I'm slow, I know. I play knight d2.
It is interesting, Bill, the way they've been throwing their pawns backwards and forwards in this game.
Yes, Adorjan is showing absolutely the right attitude here for someone who's accepted a pawn sacrifice in the opening, which is the willingness to give it back in exchange for other advantages. Here, this white squared bishop of his is becoming a very strong piece indeed. It's, I think, eventually trying to plant itself on the d5 square, holding onto this pawn and leaving back black with a very good pair of bishops. White's really struggling. His idea of b4, giving up the pawn in the opening, has, I think, been proven to be incorrect. But still now he must just fight and try to hang on.
Adorjan to play.
So knight fd2. That's a slight surprise. So what shall I do now? Queen d5? No, that's not good at all. Or queen d7, then he might play something like knight c5 and... well, what shall I do? This is a sort of positions in which you can easily lose your temper because you overestimate your position, so I have to consider all these things very carefully. Yes, and besides he's in a time trouble, so if I play something quiet but strong, then it's the best method from all the points of view. So I play rook e8.
Yeah, very carefully played, and I feared this move really. Now he defends this pawn e7. I have no tactical things here in this position. No, I have just tried to defend d4 and at the same moment attacking his a pawn. Yeah. This I will do. I can't take on c6 because d4 is hanging. No, I play just bishop c5.
Yes. Now I just like to play this idea of bishop e6, bishop d5, and play for something like bishop h6 or f5 in a good moment. Make a use of my rook on e8. But shall I really give up that pawn so easily, this a7 pawn? Why shall I? I just keep it to somehow to disturb him. So I push that pawn a5.
Ah, what a pity. I wanted to have rook a6, hoping for queen d7. Andras has a very good mixture between playing cautiously and playing active. No, he plays active, which is quite good. It will take me a long time to win this pawn. I have to double in the a file. Rook a3. Square d3 is not too important. Maybe better rook a4, overprotecting d4. This makes more sense. My square e2 on the other side is very weak. I can't help. I play rook a4.
Yes. Now, since his rook left the first rank, then I can make some combinations. This morning I had a very nice walk into the village, but of course the rain started to fall again. That's something I don't like in this country. This is very, very unfortunate. So, let's go back to the game. So, shall I? No, I think I'll do that thing I was intending to do by bishop e6 and a strong attack against his king. Bishop e6.
I like the way Adorjan goes on these little sort of mental walkabouts. He just sort of relax his mind and think of anything except the problem in hand.
Yes, I think in the previous game of his we saw in this tournament, he really seemed to be getting into terrible time trouble thinking about nothing at all. This game he seems to be showing much more concentration, but now that he's going for walks in the rain, I begin to worry.
Let's see if Hecht can take advantage of him.
Organizing his position very well, yeah. I don't feel better. Still, I have a very bad position. Where to go with my queen? c2. In this case I don't attack a5. I want to win this pawn, so I have to play queen c3, but then, look to knight e2. I'm always in danger. Queen c3. Yeah, in this case I might use his third rank for attacking his knight some when, queen c3.
Well, there was no other move, so I play bishop d5. That's okay, bishop d5.
Yeah, actually I want him to move. I want him to move knight e6, and then I want to play rook a1. But I can't do it immediately, because this knight threatens to check me on e2. It's really bad. I can't kick him out with g3, then my white squares around my king are very weak. So what shall I do? Maybe knight c4. This looks very unsound. I don't like it. No. I will see. I'll just play queen g3 and I have to kick out this knight. I don't like my game. I hate it really. Queen g3.
Well, this is also as expected. Now, my original intention is knight e6, but can't I do something like bishop h6? But why should I do anything else that I was intending? So knight e6, it's a good move. Must be knight e6.
Yeah, as expected. He brings all his pieces to the best squares. And now he's really coming with f5 in one moment, f6 or f5, and this would ruin my position, I think. So what can I do? Still I'm a pawn down, and he has even a better position. Two nice bishops, fantastic pieces. I just play on, hoping for something fantastic. I don't believe that it will happen, but who knows. So I just play back my queen and attacking again his pawn on a5. Queen a3.
Queen a3. Oh, yes. It would be nice to qualify. my mother would like it very much. She doesn't understand a thing about chess, but she's crossing fingers all the time, and she's always worrying, like most mothers do, I guess. Well, now the original intention, f5 or f6 sometimes, but is that good at the moment? I don't know, because of f5 it takes and knight d6 and so forth. Well, now maybe I can mix him up with these bishop h6, which I was considering a move before, and then everything is hanging in his position. So the knights, they protect each other, and on the D line I have some pressure and steal the pawn up, and my bishop is on d5, just fantastic. And he's getting very short of time. Thought I'm following him, but all right. It's just forbidden to play too much for his time trouble, because that's a sin. So I play bishop h6.
Why is it a sin to take advantage of somebody else's time trouble?
I've lost so many games by trying to rush my opponents when they've been in time trouble that I know it's a sin. I know what he means there. When your opponent's in time trouble, you must really just play absolutely normally and not try to hurry. You forget that they can think while you're thinking as well, and it's so tempting to try to do something quickly, but nearly always wrong.
Right, Hecht to play.
Oh my dear, the last piece coming to a wonderful position. Now I can't move my knight on e4, and if I move the knight on d2, e4 has to be protected with a rook, but I want to have the rook on a1. It's the only possibility to take a5. If I'm lucky, I can make it, but I'm sure one moment he will play f5 and my position is lost, completely lost. I play just rook a1.
Now let's check it again once more, all this stuff with f5, because I think this is the best moment. I had never such a good moment in the game to play it. So on f5 he has no choice, he has to take it, I take back, and the threat is f5 again. Somehow I have a feeling it must be good. So let's play f5.
Yeah, he's just going to kill me. I have to take this pawn because my knight e2 is hanging. No choice, pawn takes pawn.
So let's take this, e takes f6.
Yeah, of course. Now I'm going to take a5, but I have the feeling that something is wrong with it, because all my pieces are hanging, my first rank is weak, and I have no time to calculate this. The best thing I could do is probably to resign, but still I have some minutes, and I decide just to make some sort of ghost moves, I think. Yeah, maybe I can enter d6 if I'm lucky. I make just one move. I don't want to resign immediately. Queen b2.
What is this? Is it just a sign of despair, or what if I just take on c5, and if he takes back with the knight, then rook e2 wins almost immediately, and he can't take it back with the d4, because then e4 is hanging. Oh no, then it's protected by this rook on a4. So maybe I have to make some move which might surprise him, and in the same time it's a good one. So, well, knight f4. Yes, knight f4 with all the threats, all the usual stuff. So he'll be very much upset. I'll play knight f4.
Oh yes, so many threats. e4 is hanging, f5 is coming. Actually there's nothing to move. If I move my knight, he just can take g2. This is horribly enough. I play just f3.
Is that true? That I'm going to win this game and maybe I'll qualify or just have a chance for a playoff? Thought I was playing like an idiot. No, of course I will play f5, but let's see, if he goes away with the knight, then say knight c3, then I play queen g5, and if knight f1, then rook e2 wins immediately. So let's play f5.
What a lousy game. A lousy position. Everything is coming. Queen g5 if my knight moves. He has so many possibilities. The rook may enter on e2. I don't see any good move now. I think it's just time to resign. I don't want to play on this game. I resign.
Any chance at all for an adequate sort of player to escape from the mess that Hecht?
Not really. Now Adorjan's played this whole attack really beautifully. Let's just see the reason for this decision. If the white knight goes back to c3, the white knight's attacked on e4 by that pawn. If it goes back, black queen rushes into the attack on g5. That's threatening a mate on g2. The knight can come back to try to protect the king. White knight can come back from d2 to f1. When the queen on b2 protects this pawn. But then there's a very nice little interference move, black rook coming into e2, attacking the queen, attacking the g2 pawn. And when the knight's taken by white's knight, when the rook is taken by white's knight on c3, and the knight's got in the way, and the black queen takes that pawn on g2, and it's mate. Of course, there are other ways the game could have gone from that position, but black piece is just flowing in with this mating attack.
Good, thank you very much. And the result of that game is in this group now. Adorjan has a clear lead. So this is the way Group A finished. Andras Adorjan of Hungary qualifies for the final with his 2 points. Now next week we go to a game in Group B where they're also fighting it out in a grim sort of way to get to this final. Again, anybody could get through. Next week is the game between Erik Lobron of West Germany and Ray Keane of the United Kingdom. Bill, we won't talk about next week's game. We won't even talk very much about this week's game, because I know you want to tell me a story about Tal and a hippopotamus.
That was just something I remembered when you mentioned Adorjan's mental walkabout. There's a nice story where Tal, interviewing himself, asks whether he always thinks just about chess when he's having a long think in his games. And he says that once he found a little tune running through his head, which was a nursery rhyme tune about a hippopotamus stuck in a swamp. And he'd been calculating a knight sacrifice in the game for a few minutes. Then he started thinking about this problem of the hippopotamus, and the engineer in him started devising lots of means of rescuing hippopotamus from a swamp, with lots of pulleys and cranes and everything to get this poor hippo out. And he thought about this for 45 minutes, couldn't solve the problem of the hippopotamus, decided to let it drown and sacrificed the knight. And he said the interesting thing about this was reading afterwards notes to the game. Other people had written, Tal spent 50 minutes calculating the complexities of this knight sacrifice, then decided to play it. In fact, he spent 5 minutes thinking about the knight sacrifice and 45 minutes trying to rescue a hippo.
The moral of that really seems to be that the amount of time that they have for chess games is far too much. To play 40 moves in 2.5 hours, 40 moves in 2 hours is ridiculous. They should play the whole game in an hour flat.
I think probably they should. It's almost a hangover from the days when so little was known about chess. You could hardly tell the difference in quality of a 15-minute game, 15 minutes each, from a 2.5-hour game, especially in the well-tried, well-analysed openings like the Rai Lopez. Often after 4 hours play you reach a position that's really virtually theory and that the players would have got if they played all their moves in 5 minutes. Players are just used to thinking too much.
Right, next week it's Lobron and Keane to think. Until then, from all of us here, good night.